Good morning, George Adventure here. Uh, well, the rain's finally stopped. Been raining all night. I'm gonna check my rain gauge and see how much we have. Uh, but I hope everybody is having a safe Monday morning. I know a lot of y'all had to get up, drive in this rain and whatnot, but just be safe out there, man, because there's a lot of crazy drivers out there. I promise you. So I'm gonna do uh, my Monday inspirational talk today because it's Monday. I'm gonna do it, and so it's gonna be on barriers versus boundaries. Barriers versus boundaries. And I'm a big boundary person. We all should have boundaries that we don't cross with our families, with our wives, with our children. So we should honor people's boundaries, and they should honor ours. And we shouldn't be afraid to put a boundary out there. Like, this is my boundary, you don't cross. And we got a lot of boundary violators too. There's a lot of people that don't mind violating your boundary. Uh, by our human sinful nature, whether we realize it or not, we build barriers. We build barriers. People build walls around themselves to keep everyone out. That's not good. That's not good. You don't want to keep people out of your lives. You got to pick the ones you know that's not good for you. And we're always going to have people that's not good for you, you know. We decide to close roads to keep someone from getting near us. That ain't always good, but if you got a person that's just rotten, and they're no good, there's nothing they do that's positive for you, and they're always violating your boundary. You need to put a boundary up and keep them at bay. Uh, a boundary is a line you draw to protect what is inside from what is outside. This is not about restriction and limitation, but freedom and establishing a good defense. That's right. That's what a boundary is. When you put a boundary on people, on certain people, uh, and so you don't let them. And I've got a few people, not many, but I've got two or three that I have boundaries out. That no, I'm not gonna do this with you. I'm not gonna, I'm just not gonna, you know, just be that much involved with you. So you have to, and we all got people like that. You just have to put that boundary out and don't allow them to cross it. Um, Barriers are all about us. Boundaries are all about our relationships with God and others. Of course, you don't ever want to put a boundary out to God. You want God here. You want him with you all day, every day. That's how you function in life. God is our source for everything. Um, the world has always had dividing lines. That's true. White people, black people, conservatives, liberals, this my cliquey friends, those cliquey friends. And this way it's always been. It'll always be that way. You know. Uh, I try to, look at everybody, and give them a chance and see what kind of person they are, before I put a boundary out. Most people are good. I mean, I really believe that most people are good. Not all people, but most people are good. I heard a thing not too long ago that basically 30% of Americans aren't good. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that, but it may be. But you're always going to find one in life that you got to stick a boundary up. Uh, we focus more on what divides us than what unites us. Boy, that's the truth. That's the truth. There's a lot of things We're not all alike. We meet people and they're different than we are, but you can always try to find common ground, something you have in common. The praises, the Pharisees and teachers of the law had an issue with Jesus from the moment he stepped foot inside their territory. Jesus crossed their boundaries. He sure did. When we follow Jesus, we commit to walk where he leads. That's right. Walk where he leads. Um, and boundaries, boundaries are a necessity part of life uh, to protect you, to protect yourself. And if you work with a lot of people, you're going to have some of them people that you gotta draw that boundary line, that you gotta say nope. You still can have interactions with them, but you may not want something personal with them because of the kind of people they are. They can hurt you. And it could be jealousy or envy or whatever, and that's what drives a lot of people. Your family, you got. I've got a couple family members that I've got big boundaries. I got a big fence with barbed wire and claymore mines up. They can't get through that fence. They're not never going to get through that fence. And I'm not trying to be ugly, but everybody's got them. Everybody's got them. Those type people, they're just all about themselves, and they're not going to do anything that's positive in your life. They're just rotten people, and everybody has them in their family. You know, I don't have many in my family, but there's a couple that well, 3 or 4, probably about 3 or 4 people that I just, and they're not my immediate family, but they just, they're rotten. So I just, I try to, man, I got that big old fence built with barbed wire. So just don't let them in, because you learn by experience about people. So you learn who to put a boundary out with. So boundaries are good. And we as people have to respect other people's boundaries. Even with my daughters, even with Miss Linda, I have, I respect their boundaries. There's certain things I don't, just because I'm their dad, that don't give me a right to encroach and you know, say stuff or tell them stuff that I shouldn't be involved with. If they want me to know something, they'll tell me. And Miss Linda's the same way. Me and Miss Linda don't have a lot of boundaries, but we do have them. But she's my wife, so it's different. But you have to put boundaries out. You have to. Well, the sun's trying to come out. That's good. You have to put boundaries out uh, to survive in this world. If you work somewhere, especially a big company, man, you gotta throw some boundaries out. You got to do that. Uh, when I was a supervisor, I had to, I had a lot of boundaries. My crew guys didn't cross, you know, and so uh, you just have to do it. But so anyway, that's my inspirational talk. We had a meetup this weekend, the knife meetup, knife trade. Wasn't a whole lot of trading. I traded a little bit, and I'm gonna show you. I'll probably do a shot video this week, or I may do a video tomorrow and just show you what I traded for. And So you're going to do that. But yeah, it was a good time, and I'm trying to remember. We had, Cornbread was there. Justin, South Carolina Knife Monkey was there. Bubba's EDC, Bubba. Nate was there. Chase was there. Uh, Jerry Phillips was there. Dwayne was there. And Greg was there. And that's the first time I'd met Greg. He was there. So we had a good turnout, man. it was a good time. A lot of knives. Man, Chase had some. He had some nice case knives. Everybody had some nice knives. Brought some nice knives. I did a little trading. Um, it was nice to see everybody. It's nice to see Cornbread and Bubba, and I met some guys. I've never met Nate before. Never met Bubba before. Never met Greg before. So it was that first time I'd met Chase. So it was good. And we as men, we need to be about men. We are to be about men. We are to be mentors to men. Yeah, we can cut up and carry on, have a good time, but we should be about men. We should be, whether it's a knife trade or a knife meetup or a Bible study. I go to a Bible study on Thursdays, and it's a men's Bible study. So as men, we need to be about men. And I'm not saying we're not supposed to be about our wives and everything and our daughters or whatever, but we need to be about men. We need to comfort men. We need to, you know, set a good example for other men. We need to be mentors to men. Uh, if a man, if you know a guy that needs to talk to you about something, you need to listen to him, talk to him, give him, if he wants your advice, give it to him. He don't have to listen to it, but uh, you know, and I've always been about mentoring men. That's one reason I enjoyed being a supervisor at the power company or being a safety specialist, because uh, I could mentor men. I could make them better. And they made me better. So, like I said, it was a nice knife meetup. We had a good time. Had a great waitress, man. Great waitress. She was awesome. I mean, I think there was 9 of us. I didn't count, but man, she was just doing a great job. She got a good tip from everybody. Like I said, some good guys were there. Met some good guys. Made some more friends. Which that's something I do care about. I do care about, making friends with new people, you know, men especially, having a good relationship with men, having, just a mentorship. And being a mentor to a man is just setting a good example. Setting a good example. And that's one thing this Monday morning thing's about, is being a mentor. Uh, I've always had mentors. I've always been one. I had people I mentored. Got my word tongue twisted, but I had mentors. I had people that mentored me, uh, and I had people I mentored too. Uh, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So That's the way I look at it a lot of times. That's the way I looked at it Saturday. It was a knife trade, but it was more than that. But we had a great time. Great time. Met, just an awesome time. It was about a 3-hour drive, but it was enjoyable. Once I got through Atlanta, and then once I got back through Atlanta, you're just going through Atlanta and Gwinnett County, and which is Atlanta. Going through there in 285, the drivers are horrible. It's amazing we don't have people killed every day on the interstate in Atlanta, because the way people drive, it's just insane. It's insane. Some people think they're Dale Earnhardt and they can drive like that in traffic, but they can't. They're just being stupid, putting other people's lives in jeopardy. So, anyways, that's my video. Show you this little queen knife I got, by the way. Got this thing off of eBay. Had an excellent deal on it. Man, it's got some great snap. Look at that. It's got that. I guess that's a Warncliffe blade. It's what it looks like. But anyways, it's a nice. It's got that winter bone. It's Delrin, but or winter bottom, not winter bone, but winter bottom. It's a pretty knife. I think I'm gonna carry this thing, man, for sure. Pretty sharp. I dig the queen knives. Got this little pen blade here. This is a 1960 knife. Supposedly they didn't put stamps on the tang, but they just put the etching. But the etching, I can't barely see it with the queen stuff on it. But it is a good shape knife. Like I said, I'm gonna show y'all what I traded for and all Saturday. Got this thing here, 3,000 box. It's gonna be going out here in a few days. I think tomorrow I'm gonna go ahead and tally up the people that commented and write them all down and get Miss Linda to draw them. We'll do a drawing. When I draw it out, when I draw the person, whoever wins it, you know, I'm gonna try to get with you, and you got to send me your address if I don't already have it. You got to send me your address. So, uh, so you know, we'll do that, and we'll have to get that done. So then once we do that, like I said, I'll mail it out to you, and it's loaded, man. It's loaded with stuff. 3,000 is a good milestone. So I'm up to 16. I'm gonna get on off of here, and hope y'all have a great Monday. Be safe out there, y'all. Be intentional. God bless.